Welcome, Millersville University students, to this video on using the communication source database. Hi, my name is Kim Alger. I am the subject area specialist for communication. And if you need to reach me, my email is kimberly.auger@millersville.edu and my phone is 717-871-7099. If you would like to make an appointment with me, you can reach the appointment screen by typing in bit.ly/mu ask LIB. We are always here to help you out. As a student, you have a lot going on, and you probably feel like you never have enough time to do all that is required of you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to search the communication source database and walk you through some tips. And by the time you are done, you will be able to know how to search the communication source database, find articles that meet your needs, reduce the time it takes you to find those articles, and be able to identify research articles. So let's get started. The problem that I see most often is that students are either drowning in too many results from a search or wondering why they have too few results. If you have too many results, here are some ways that you can reduce those results. I will cover them in this video, but I thought I might show them on the screen so you can write them down as reminders. They are: use quotes around your key concepts, choose a more specific search term, add extra concept if appropriate, and limit the search by using limiters such as title, year, type of publication. And if you have too few results, here's a list of ways you can fix that, and I will also cover these. They are: check for spelling mistakes, use more synonyms or variations, use a broader, more general terms, use fewer concepts, and reduce your search limitations. I'm going to head to the library database to show you how to follow some of the tips in my previous slides. So if you are working on assignments where your professor requires you to use articles in any COM 101, 201, 301, or 401 courses, then I recommend starting with the communication source database, especially if your professor states that they must come from communication journals. This is an EBSCO database, so the search techniques I'm going to demonstrate in this video work in any EBSCO database. And the easiest way to get there is to use the link in the Communication Research Guide. In the section called Finding Information, Research Guides, and you're going to scroll down till you get to Communication, and you want the General Communication Guide. It is the very first database under communication-related resources. Whenever you're in an EBSCO database, you will know what database you're searching because at the very top of the screen, it will say searching and then the actual database. I'm going to be searching today for social media and confirmation bias. We are in the advanced search screen and I click search. I've got 2,761 results, and that is just way too many. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is to put quotes around your search terms. What this does is it allows the database to search for those words right next to each other. It contains the words social media and contains the words confirmation bias. 448, that's a significant reduction, but way too many for us to scroll through. The first step that I usually take in reducing the number of results is I use the subject terms. I'm going to go back to my advanced search screen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this drop-down menu and I'm going to say I want it to search for social media under subject terms. So when I say subject terms, what that means is that librarians went through all of these articles and identified the main topics of the articles. It's kind of like when you are making a social media post and you hashtag the item. That way everybody knows that this is about, social media. This should significantly reduce our results. 89 is a much more manageable number, and I'm pretty satisfied that this will work for me. Another way to reduce the number of results, let's say we still had too many results. We could use some of these filters or limiters, because they limit your search, from across the top. It's very similar to when you're on Amazon and you've searched for headphones and you have way too many results. Across the top are limiters. The same thing happens in our databases. Across the top, we have limiters. If you notice, the very first one says full text. I'm going to tell you now, unrelated to too many results or too few results, do not use full text limiter unless you have left your research until the last minute. If you use full text, it will eliminate many of your resources. If it's a resource that we don't have in full text, you can just borrow that item from another library, and it would only take, especially if it's an article, 24 to 36 hours. So please do not use that full text unless you are the night before or just 2 days before. And quite honestly, I hope you're not doing that. It's highly likely that your professor is going to say choose peer reviewed, and it went down from 89 to 83. But if you really wanted to see all the potential filters, you could come down here on the right side and you can say publication date. You can even put your own custom date range in. Another way to limit this down is to take a look at what other subjects have tagged these articles with. So if you find you have too many, you can limit it down by looking through this list and see if there is something that is more appropriate for what you want to do. What to do if you still have too many results. Examine your search terms, social media and confirmation bias. When you look at the two of them, we know that social media can be further narrowed down. Two forms of social media that you could use are Instagram and TikTok. We're going to use Instagram. So just replace social media with Instagram. And now you will have less results. Before we start reading the abstracts to choose our articles, I want to make sure you look at only articles that meet your professor's requirements. Sometimes in COM 201 or COM 301, you may be asked to only use research articles. Typically, you will find 3 types of articles in academic journals: research articles, literature review articles, and theoretical articles. But you only want to use research articles. And this type of article is a presentation of original study or studies. And I'm going to show you how to recognize these types of articles. So let's go back to our search results. As you're scrolling down, you can say show more without having to open it up. And you will take a look through this abstract and see if you can recognize some key words that would help you figure out whether this is a research article. In this one, it says, therefore, the purpose of this study. It's telling you it's a study, and there's a word questionnaire in here. You will sometimes see participants right here. And these are all signals that this is a research article. Once you have an article open, you can browse the major sections to confirm if you actually have a research article. The major sections you most often find in a research article include the abstract, a literature review, a methods section, a results section, a discussion, and often there will be a section that covers implications, limitations, and future research, but it may not have all 3 of those, and it will always have a references section. While many other types of academic articles include an abstract and a lit review and references, they will not include the other sections that I mentioned. If you want to save this, you can click Add to Project. It was related to my communication skills project. I'd add it there and say Add Now. If I didn't have a folder, all you have to do is go to Projects, click New Project, and name it and create. We're going back to figure out how to manage when you have too few results. So remember this list of solutions for too few results? Let's take a look at how to resolve this issue. First, check your spelling. This is a reason why I and many others tend to get too few results. After spelling, the second problem that often occurs is that students have too narrowly developed their topic. A narrow topic is a really good thing, but you can't use all those terms when you've searched. Say you're writing about confirmation bias and it negatively affects media literacy in high school students when using Instagram during the pandemic. It's very specific, But if you use all those terms when you're searching, you're going to have too few results. 2 is not enough. Many students run into this when they're writing their literature review for their research proposal, and I have a remedy for this. All right, so I'm going to broaden the term Instagram to social media. 4 still doesn't get me where I need to be. What you need to do is look for articles that cover social media and confirmation bias, as we did in our first search, and then go back and do some searching under confirmation bias and media literacy. Since we already know we've done the search on social media and confirmation bias, I'm going to get rid of that for now. We'll come back to pandemic, and what we'll do is we'll look for confirmation bias and media literacy in high school students. That's much better. Looks like we found a few things that could be useful, but 15 still isn't very many. So maybe I would add synonyms or alternate terms. So I could say high school students. You know that high school students and college students are still often in their teens. So maybe we'll say or college students or university students. 43. I really like that number. That tells me I've got some room there to reject some that don't work, yet still have a higher likelihood that I'm going to find articles that meet my needs. And then you do this same thing, because remember we were looking for during the pandemic. So you could remove media literacy and maybe you'll change that to the pandemic and how confirmation bias and the pandemic affected high school students and college students. There are often times where a topic can cross over, especially a communication topic, can cross over into other areas. So you may want to look in the business source complete database. You may want to look in the psychology database, which is PsycInfo. You may need to look in the education databases. So if your topic touches on one of those, it's something that's related. So like in this situation, confirmation bias can be as often found in psychological literature. It would be a good idea to go check the PsycInfo database. Those are all of the tips that will help you meet the needs of the research that you have to do for any of your communication courses. If at any time you still running into any difficulties, this hasn't helped you, we can work one-on-one, and you can work with me specifically, or you can work with any of the librarians who are at the research assistants Ask a Librarian desk, as you will see the sign, or you can reach out to bit.ly/mu asklib and make an appointment with me. Wishing you much success on all of your research assignments.